Okay, good morning everybody, or evening, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. We're going to be taking a look at some stuff with Godot this morning. We're going to look at where we left off, and then we're going to pick up from there. So, what this is, I'm doing a... Sorry about that. What this is, doing a... Hello, Lou Benham. The next tutorial series was voted on to be a turn-based RPG, so I'm going through and making a turn-based RPG system similar to Earthbound, and this is me just kind of working through everything that needs to be done on my own first, but I figured I might as well put it on YouTube as a stream, why not, while we're working through stuff. So, here's what we have working so far. I promise I'll stop saying We've got our player working around in some scenes. Last time I pretty much was just playing around with tile maps, so I have this little area that I made. I've got this camera that's limited to the screen size. I could make that background a parallax background. That would be pretty cool, but for now I think it's alright how it is. Actually, I wonder if I can do that if it's a tile map. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking here. So if I add a parallax layer and parallax background, and then as a child of that, can I make it that background? And then my parallax layer, let's leave the motion as it is. What am I leaving out here? Oh, I have them backwards. Parallax background and then parallax layer. So parallax background, I'm going to say, I'm going to leave all of that alone for the moment. And then let's take a look here. I don't have the offset set up. I just want to see if it's like even possible to use this instead of using like a texture rect. So my motion scale, it's set to 0, will not scroll offset. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna have to revisit this. I remember last time I used the parallax background node, it didn't work the way I expected to, so I'm just gonna leave that for now. So what I wanted to work on next, since I have player movement, and I still kind of don't want to mess around too much with the UI, but I'm gonna have to mess around a little bit with the UI, is interactable objects. So like a little sign, or it could be even a very simple NPC. So on my own, what I made here is this interactable node as a new scene. As a child, it's got a sprite, and I grabbed what I think is supposed to be a sign from the sprite sheet. And it has a static body for collisions. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller than what it is right now. That way the player can move behind it. So let's go to our rectangle shape. Let's make our Y extents like 4. And let's move our transform down a bit. Let's put our Y position at, say, 4. There we go, that's at the bottom. Let's make our collision shape a little bit bigger. Let's make this, let's make it 8. That's actually a little bit smaller, but that's okay. And then this collision shape, I'm gonna make the X extents to be 8. Okay, and now those two kind of butt up against each other. Now the area 2D is going to be what the player detects to have like just a little question mark pop up, and then if you press an interaction button when that question mark button pops up, anthropomorph, it's a mall directory. Yeah, I could totally see it as a mall directory. Accent says good luck, bro. Thanks. Alright, so Lost my train of thought. Alright, there we go. I'm going to save this scene really quickly here. Now, what I made, or what I downloaded, is some pixel emotes from kenny.no, and I don't think I put the link to that in the description, but they're just these little super simple emote bubbles. I'm going to make those a child object of the player. So I'm going to make a child node. I'm going to call this, it's going to be just a node 2D. I'm going to call this context bubble. Because you could have it be different things. You could have it be like an exclamation point if you're going to start a battle. You could have it be a question mark if there's something to investigate. I'm going to leave it as the question mark one for now. Make a child of this that is a sprite. And this is also going to have its own area 2D. And area 2Ds need a collision shape. And I'm going to give this shape a, let's do a circle. Make the radius 8. No, let's go even smaller, let's say 4. And then I'm going to put it at the player's feet. So I'm going to move the transform Y position down to like, 8's too much, let's go 4. And let's make this even a little bit smaller. Oh, 3, not 6, there we go. And then we'll put this at 5. Okay, so this is going to serve the purpose of detecting when it's inside this area 2D section here, which will send a signal to the player to make that context bubble sprite active. And so let's actually set this sprite. So I'm going to give it a texture, and I need to make sure that this has filter turned off. There we go. And this uses a region, and let's open up our texture region. Our snap mode to grid. We're going to step by 16 by 16, I think. Oop, not 256. 16. Did he make these bigger than that? No, he made them exactly 16 by 16. Nice. So for now, I'm just going to use the question mark bubble. So I'm just going to grab that. And now I want this to appear above the player's head, so I'm going to have to move the transform of the sprite. So let's make this, oop, not positive 24, but let's try negative 24. It's a bit too much. Let's go. I'm not sure I like the scale of this. I'm going to take the scale down a little bit. 0.75 on X and 0.75 on Y. I like the way that looks a lot more. Let's see how it looks inside the scene. Turn off collision shapes for a second. Oh, they are turned off. Anthropomorph says, does the sprite head overlap appropriate tiles above it, like if you walk into the top wall? There is a way to do that, and that's one of the things I was going to show you right now. So, for example, if I take this interactable item, I'm going to put it on the, I'm going to instance it as a scene. I'm just going to put it here underneath the player, and let's move it right there. Now if I just have it like this, the interactable is always going to be on top of the player. So the way that would look is, and the reason that's true is because Godot renders stuff top down. Now we don't want that to happen, which is what you're asking about. You want it to be that the player's in front when it's down here, and the player's in back when the player's up there. And the way that you can fix that in Godot is super simple. You just add a new node called a Y-sort. And then everything that you want to layer themselves appropriately, you make a child of the Y-sort. So the player and the interactable are both going to be children of the Y-sort. And if I save this scene and hit play, if I go up, and then I'm back. Ta-da! Just that easy. One of my favorite things about Godot is how easy that is. So, there we go. Now, messing around with their interactive a little bit here. I'm going to give the area 2D, I'm going to put that inside of a group, and I'm going to call the group interactable. And then in my player, I'm going to take my area 2D. Let's actually give a script to our context bubble here. And I'm going to put this in the player scene. And this is going to have, the reason it's Y is even though it acts like it's a Z sort because you're thinking about things in the third dimension, this is X and then this is Y. So if something has a higher Y value, it's going to be sorted to be on top of something with a lower Y value. So for example, our player, when they're right here, might have a Y value of like 128, whereas this sign would have a Y value of like 112. So Godot puts whatever has the higher Y value on top of anything with a lower Y value. Yeah, I know it seems like it should be a Z sort because we're faking this 3D effect, but since we're dealing with it specifically in 2D, it's really the Y that we're sorting. And we're just making it so that we're rendering anything with a higher Y value on top of anything with a lower Y value, if that makes sense. Feel free to ask questions, you're totally fine. It's not a dumb question at all. Okay, so our context bubble here. Let's make a reference to our sprite. Let's actually rename that sprite so it's appropriate. We'll call this bubble sprite. My cat is freaking out. Come here, girly. Come here. She has a tendency, I'm in the basement, and when I'm in the basement she'll go in the hallway and just meow because she thinks I've left her. Hi. I know this is probably enthralling streaming. You want to say hi, girly? Huh? No, you just want some lap time. Okay. Alright, so we've got our bubble sprite there, and let's open up our context bubble. And I'm going to make a reference to that bubble sprite. So we're going to say onReady var bubble sprite is equal to $ bubble sprite. Is this? Oh, I want to do so that it's typed. Okay, and then in ready, I'm going to set that bubble sprite to be inactive. So I'm going to say bubble sprite dot visible equals false. Yeah, typical cat. She's my baby. Some students found her in the parking lot last year when she was only about a day or two old, and I nursed her. Rafael Pontes says, "Hey, Mr. Taft, keep up the great work. Cheers from Brazil." Hey, cheers from Montana. Thank you very much. So we're gonna make that bubble sprite invisible, and then let's make a variable to keep track of whether it's visible. Well, yeah, we can just do this. Let's make a function here that I'm gonna call change sprite visibility or something like that. Change sprite visibility. And because I'm trying to make this typed, I'm going to add the type to it, which is a void. And then here, we're just going to do bubble sprite dot visible equals to the opposite of bubble sprite dot visible. So we're going to, if it's visible, we're going to make it invisible. If it's invisible, we're going to make it visible. Yep, dot visible. Yeah, so I mean, I could modulate this, and I could also make a separate void to make it fade in and fade out instead of just having it pop into existence like I'm doing right now. But yeah, dot visible is there. And dot visible is essentially the same as just clicking this little eyelash next to it. So like in the player, that's what dot visible does. And it says toggle visibility, but I don't think in the inspector anywhere with the sprite it'll give no, it does. Visible. There we go. Properties.visible. sometimes you can just use the property here, but sometimes the properties have a getter and a setter. And then there's pop-up menus and stuff, but I don't want this to be a pop-up thing. So let's save this. And what I want to do is take my area 2D, and I'm gonna go to my signals, and I want area entered. I know, come here. She did it again. She jumped off my lap and then ran to the hallway. So we're gonna say if area dot is in group, and the group we're looking for is interactable, and then we're going to change sprite visibility. We're going to do the same thing for area exited. So area exited connect with context bubble. Then we're going to say if area dot is in group interactable, change sprite visibility. All right, cool. So we're going to save that and let's test this out. Let's also save our interactable sprite. And I already put one in the area around the home, so there we go. That's kind of cool. Now, what I'd like is for there to be an interactable button that if you push it when you're in this area, you can have a little dialog pop up. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's make this dialog its own scene. We're going to make this, come here. I'm going to make this a user interface, but I'm going to have it be a canvas layer node. So I'm going to change its type to be a canvas layer. Come on. There we go. And then I'm going to rename this to be, call it dialog window. And we can use this for either signs or for super simple NPCs. If you just want an NPC that doesn't move anywhere, and doesn't have any branching dialogue, it just acts essentially like a sign. So in here, let's make child node, and we're going to do a 9. I think it's like a 9 patch rect is what it's called. Yeah, 9 patch rect. And this is going to get a texture from my art folder, and it's going to get the super simple texture I made of a dialog frame in the style of Earthbound. And let's move this kind of to the center. Uh-oh, I thought I used this for 9 patch rect just moments ago. Well, not moments ago, but just a while ago. Patch margin. Oh, I have to tell it the margin. So I think it's 4, 4, 4, and 4. No, it must be bigger than that. Let's go 8, 8, 8, and 8. There we go. That looks better. Yeah, that looks like it's supposed to. All right, so let's actually set up our margins properly. So I know. I think I've got a 480. So let's make the left margin 128. And let's make the right margin whatever 480 minus 128 is, 352. Handy. Yeah, it's the 9 patch recs are very handy. What I was setting there with these 8s, if you were to look at my frame here, I'm telling it to go essentially like in Unity. What you do is you hand draw this in, but I'm telling it to go 8 pixels right, 8 pixels from the left, top and bottom, and then these corners will always stay the size that they should be, and it just fills in everything else with what it should be. So like it fills in all the empty spaces with this part, this part, this part, this part, and then in the center with that part. All right, so let's let's rename this to something meaningful. Let's call it maybe not window. Okay, and let's make a child node of a label, and let's give text placeholder, and let's actually get a font in here. So I have the Kenny font somewhere. If I just go to my desktop, channel assets. I think I put, yeah, fonts. There we go. So let's just grab this whole package and let's put this in projects, Godot projects, Godot Bound. That's the one we're dealing with today. And then I'm just going to put this in the, actually I'll put it in the art folder. Just paste it here. And that should import them. There we go. Now for my label, needs a margin. So yes, you're right, I should do a margin container. Thank you. For my placeholder text here, let's do a custom font, new dynamic font, and for a font resource, we're gonna load art fonts. Let's do, I like mini and I like pixel. I think mini looks a little bit better. Let's make the, no, not the outline color, I want the actual color. So let's make the size a bit bigger. Let's go like 24. Use filter. Use the, oh, that's right, the font color is one of the custom constants. Nope, custom colors. There we go. That's better. So 24 is actually a bit too big. Let's go 16. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'll do that. Give me just a second. I don't think I want this pure black. I want it like that color. Okay. And let's set the margins in here. Let's go 8, 8. And then I'm gonna make a guess about where this should be. We'll say 216. And then the bottom we'll say should be, let's go 84. Or even, no, not 80. Let's go 84. Okay, and then let's center align everything. Let's turn on auto wrap. And yeah, cool. So there we go. We've got our little dialog window. Now, the dialog window is going to need to have a script so that we can change some properties. So let's make a new script. And let's put this in source. I'll create a new folder that I'm going to call dialog window. And we'll call this dialog window.gd. There we go. Create. Segodas says, you rock, thank you very much. Let's make an onReady reference to the label. We'll call this dialog label. And this is equal to window/label. And then let's make a function that I'm going to call set dialog. This is going to require a string new dialog, and then we'll do dialog text is equal to new dialog. Can you guys hear her back there? She's being whiny. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right. In GD script, it's capital S string. Or maybe it's the other way around. It's new dialog and then the string. It's been a while since I used Godot. There we go. So let's also make a little function to turn the window on and off. So let's say onReady var window is equal to $window, and then function change window states, and we'll just say window.visible is equal to the opposite of window.visible. You didn't waste time after 4. If you just the act of trying something, even if you don't get it right, I think that's super valuable. You didn't waste time. So let's do inReady. Let's do change window state. I could just do it, I mean, to be consistent, instead of doing this, how about I just do window.visible equals false. And then let's say this is dialog window. And then let's go to our area around home. Actually, I'm going to add this as part of the player, because I already have the player UI as its own thing. Let's add a child scene dialog window. And then save this, and if I zoom out, yeah, I should see it down there, but if I go in here, if I hit play, I should see it not there. Cool. So the idea is that when we go in here, we want to be able to press an interact button and have the dialog window show up with whatever text we want this item to hold. And then when we go out of the area, we want the dialog window to go away, or if we press that button again, maybe. So there we got the window, and it's going off. So what do I want to do? So I could have the interactable as part of its scene hold a script that contains a reference to what I want this mall map or whatever, what I want its dialogue to be. And then that way I could do when the player's getting that context bubble. I could grab it then. Let's see, or it could set a variable in the background when we open that up. It's probably better to have the interactable hold its own information though. So let's go script, new script, and we're going to create this. I'm going to call it interactable. If event UI underscore touch, we can do that. So like, it's just a matter of going into project settings, and in the input map, I did interact as space or as button 0, which is Xbox A. We could add this as, you didn't have to retract your message. We could add this as mouse button, and then that way we can have it be like UI touch, but it would be automatically part of interact. So let's do export var. We'll call this dialog string, and we'll set it to the empty string by default. And I'm just going to have this be like isn't this sign cool? Alright, and then back in here, look at this script. I'm just going to have it hold that dialog string, I think, and then in the player, when the context bubble gets it, we're going to change sprite visibility, and then what we can do is use the process function and say if, oops, would help if I had my hands on my keyboard correctly, if input.isAction just pressed, I want to do interact, then I want to say, let's emit a signal. So let's do signal activate dialog. If bubble sprite dot visible, so if the bubble sprite is visible, meaning if we're in that area, then I want to emit signal activate dialog. So I'm not passing in that string just yet. Oh, anthropomorph, no worries. I mean, I can definitely see people wanting to do this on like a touch screen. I just thought it would be easier to focus on one platform before we talked about, you know, another. Alright, so we're just going to emit the signal to activate the dialog, and context bubble signals activate dialog. We're going to connect that to dialog window, and this is going to change window state. Alright, so let's save that. Oh, I misspelled it, that's why. I was like, no, that's what I called the function. Change window state, there we go. Alright, so if we go back to area around home, let's hit play. And okay, cool. Now, I want to emit that signal. Because I want that UI window, I want it to go away if I move out of the signs area. So if I go back to my context bubble here, so I'm emitting a signal to activate dialog. I don't want to have to pass in an argument. I'm working so I can't stay. Nalwell says, I'm working so I can't stay and watch, but saw you were streaming and just wanted to come and say you're awesome. Thank you so much, man. It's good to hear. I appreciate that. Glad I can help anybody. Okay, so we got change sprite vis. So if it's visible and we press interact, we're going to activate the dialog. I don't want to have to do two separate signals because it seems like I should be able to do it just with one. And then when we exit the area, if I emit the signal here, then if the dialog was never turned on, it'll turn on. I don't want to do that, but I guess I have to. Yeah, no, anthropomorph, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do, is pass in an argument for true false. So like, not interactable dialog window. So let's do new state is a boolean, and then let's say window.visible is equal to new state, and then change window state, and let's have this pass in new state, which is a bool, and then we'll pass in new state, and then back in players. Is it in the context bubble? Yeah. We'll pass in. So, but I want to be able to press the button and make it false too. So let's say, let's make a little boolean value here. So we'll call this bool dialog active. Actually, var dialog active is equal to false, and it'll know it's a boolean because it's typed. So then let's, okay, so this is false, and then instead of passing this true through, let's pass through dialog active, and then we'll say dialog active equals not dialog. This is better. Okay, this is way better. And then if we exit, we want to emit that signal too. And then we're going to pass in dialog active, but we're going to make it false first. That makes sense. All right, so I think I did that right. Let's save this and try it out. All right, so that's still working. Okay, so what if I go in? All right, cool. It seems to work like I want it to. Nice. Now we need to be able to store that dialogue information. So I can have that be part of the, like here, I could have a string for what I want the dialogue to be. Anthro is a lot shorter to say, I give you permission. Thank you very much. Figuring out how to pass a true false argument was on my list of things to do. Yep, that's how you can do it. So in this case, rather than just passing raw true or false, I passed the state of this, and that way I don't have to keep track if I'm passing true or false in here. Instead, I'm just passing the state of the dialogue. I think that's okay. I'm sure other people can find a better way to do it. All right, so now we need that string. So we'll call this var dialogue string. And by default, that's an empty string. And then when we enter, we're going to change the sprite visibility. And we're also going to say dialog string equals area dot, what did I call it? An interactable dialog string. All right. Area dot dialog string. And I want to protect against the null. So I want to say if area.dialog string, meaning if one exists. And then that way I'm going to have to also pass, let's pass it as a separate string. Let's pass it as, or as a separate signal. Let's pass it as like set dialog. That way there's no raise condition between the dialog window becoming open and the label getting set. And then on the dialog window, so let's send that signal. And we only have to send it if we're actually, we can do it either way. Set dialog. All right, so let's save this. And then let's hook up this string here with the player. So we're going to hook up set dialog to dialog window. And then this is going to set dialog. So this is going to require a string. So new dialog type string. Set dialog, new dialog. And then we need to make sure that we're passing that from the player. So context bubble, we're going to set dialog, and we're going to set it with dialog string. Okay. And that seems a little bit messy, but let's try it out here. Okay, cool. I broke it. So index. So let's say if area.dialog string is not equal to the empty string. Oh, that's why. Let's try this now. Yeah, Anthro, I'm an American, so I always spell it that way. I don't know why Americans spell it the way that we do. We just do. All right, so let's get rid of this check. Maybe I don't need it. Oh, that's why. I know what the problem is, but let me just make sure I know what the problem is. Yep, I know what the problem is. Pardon me. So if I look at the interactable, when I refer to the area, I'm just referring to this, not the actual interactable. So I'm going to take that script that I had and I'm going to put it on the Area 2D node. So this is going to have that script instead. I don't want a new script, no, I want an old script. Source, interactable. So you're getting this, and then what do I want the dialog string to be? What did I have it up here? Isn't this sign cool? Alright. Bloody Westerners, I know. Isn't this sign cool? Alright, so if it makes you feel any better, I cringe inside every time I see people spell color with a U. Alright, so... Alright, nice. Now, you could extend this if you wanted to, and make a super simple NPC. So if we wanted to make a new inherited scene, we could inherit from interactable, and I'm going to call this one simple NPC, and then for its sprite, I still want to use the, no, I don't want to use this anymore. Let's use, got sprites in here. Let's use sprite sheets. Let's use the princess. So I want princess idle down. And turn off enabled. And animation. H frames 6? No, it must be 8. Yep. And then let's go to our area here. I don't need saving. And then let's save this scene. We're going to save it in interactable because we're using the same script. And then inside of here, let's add a simple NPC. And let's put her right there. Let's also make her part of the Y sort so that it frames properly. So isn't this sign cool? And if I press interact outside, it doesn't do anything. Cool. And then if I go over here, so I don't need saving. Cool. She doesn't need saving yet. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of game you want to make. When did you come to say hi again, Yoda? I know, Gordy. Alright, so let's make some area transfers so that we can move from one scene to another. So currently I've got two scenes. I've got the area around the home, and then I built up a little bit of a town last time. I revisited the area around the home. So I'm gonna put the player's house back here, but I didn't rip apart the sprite sheet like I wanted to. But I want to be able to transfer between the two scenes. Hello, how are you? So what I want to do, well, I need saving. I think everybody needs saving sometimes. So what I want to do here is, let's go to the, I want to put this in the foreground maybe? And I want the tile set from, yeah, I want this tile set. So you grab this and one of these. Actually, let's do there. That way I can have three tiles for my walkway. And one of these. And then I still couldn't find a better edge for that. Actually, I don't want to do that there because then I still have the thingy thing to the collision. So let's go to our midground. Let's choose this. Let's disable auto tile. Let's do this the right way. So I want this here. And I want this 1, 2, 3 here. And I want this all the way down. And then I want this. Oh, maybe, no, that wouldn't work. I'm trying to think of ways that I could fix that. But... okay, cool. So now, I know. I'm gonna make a little object here that I'm gonna call a scene transition or something like that. Let's make it a new scene, 2D, call it scene transition, and I'm gonna change this type from node 2D to area 2D. And that means this needs to have a collision shape. And the collision shape needs to be rectangle. Come on, where are you? Oh, there you are. I don't know, I got so far away from it. So let's make it x extents. Let's see, it's 3 tiles, so the x needs to be 24. And let's make the y extents just 8. Thank you, Igbo. I appreciate the appreciation. That's awesome to hear. I'm gonna save this and create a new folder, and I'm gonna call this scene transitions. And we'll save this here. Now, I'm gonna have to make a singleton in the background that's always keeping track of where the player needs to be in the next. Yeah, it can get a sound effect. Adding sound effects is super easy. All you have to do is just add an audio stream player. And then, like, I don't know, are there sound effects in here I can use? I think there are, yeah. So we've got attack, jump, menu, back, menu, cursor. What does menu valid sound like, I wonder? No, we can do the sound right now. This is no big deal. Huh. It's menu cursor. Huh. I don't know that I like any of those. Let's use menu valid. So in our audio stream player, the stream is going to be menu valid. Playing is off, autoplay is off, stream pause, attenuation, cool. So then, let's do the backend stuff first. So let's save all of our scenes. Let's go to script, new script, and this is gonna go in SRC in a folder that I'm gonna call game stuff. And we'll open it here, and we'll create. And this is going to save a reference to a vector value. So we're going to call this var player pause vector2.0. And then we need to also know what scene to load. So we're going to say var scene to load equals, we'll use an empty string. Okay, so Anthropomorph says on enter area one-shot audio cue scene change. Yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do. Make sure it's the player before you do that, but yeah. The Dead Batteries comic says I sub. Thanks very much. It's appreciated, man. Okay, so we don't need a ready function with this. Instead, we need a few different functions. So let's do function store player pause, and this is going to take a new position, which is a vector2. And let's make another function for set scene to load. New scene, which is a string. And then let's do function load new scene. And then what load new scene is going to do is get tree dot not reload current scene. Change scene. So what's the difference between change scene and change scene 2? Hi. Hi. Let's do change scene. We're getting to that, Anthropomorph. I'm going to explain it in just a moment. So let's do change scene, and then let's do change it to scene to load. All right. So here's where we are. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna save this script here, and I need to have two different scenes open at once. I need to have the area around the home, because I'm gonna add my scene transition here, and scene transition I'm gonna put at the base of the stairs, like that, and then I'm going to need to open up the scene I want to transition it to, because there's a few different things I need to set on this, and I need to make sure that those are exports so I can set them from the thingy thing. So my scene transition is going to get a new script, and there we go. And this is going to hold a couple of values. First, it's going to hold export var next scene. I'm going to set it to an empty string by default, and export var next position I'm going to set to vector2.0 by default. So then save this, and then in my area around the home, my next scene is going to be the path for that town scene. So let's go grab that. Areas, town. So in the town scene, I want my player to be, say, here. And that transform. Let's make that nice and easy. Let's say it's 114 by just plain 16. So that's where I want my player in the scene. So if I go back to area around town, next position, 14, 16, this is the position in the next scene. And then I need the path. So copy path, and that's the next scene. I'm going to paste that right there. Now, in the player, in the ready function here, after I set camera limits, I'm going to set the position. So I'm going to say set position, and what this will do is grab the, what did I call that? Did I just call it new script? It's dumb. I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, I'll just do if new script dot. Oh, I need to make it a global before I can do this. It can't just exist, it has to be a global. So save all scenes, project settings, auto load, path, game stuff, add. Alright, so now if new script dot player pause is not equal to vector 2.0, meaning if we didn't just start the game, then global position is equal to new script dot player pause. No, it's not so hard to change the script name, Igbo. I just don't want to do it right now. Parse error function signature. So let's call this new position. There we go. Because I can't use a getter and a setter. So when the player comes online, we're going to have them move to their new position if that new position isn't just 0, 0. So new position. And then on the scene transition, we're going to connect the area entered to itself. Well, let's do body entered instead, because the player has a kinematic body. So connect body entered to itself. And then in here, we're going to do new script dot set scene to load, and I want to set it as next scene, and new script dot store player position to the next position. Okay. And then we also want to do new script dot live new scene. So, okay. Back to area around home. Let's hit play. Okay. I still have something there that's blocking me. So let's Alright, so oh, that's what it is. I don't know why I put that on the background there, that's dumb. So let's, disable auto tile. That was not the best thing I could have done. So let's go back to the midground, grab the long one. There we go. Alright, so save all scenes, let's hit play. Okay. Oh, because I turned off the Y swipe, that's why. Alright, so let's go down here. Okay. What do we get from the debugger? Alright, so scene transition. Scene transition body entered. And this knows a place to go. So what did I do wrong? So we can player has the body as their main thing with their collision shape. let's put our player on the player layer. I killed it. Yeah, maybe. Let's go back to our scene transition, and let's say if body.is in group player, then we'll do this, and let's add a print statement as well. Print player has entered. Save that. Yes, time for print script. Exactly. Let's get to debugging. Alright, so let's hit play. So, put this player has entered. Okay. So then let's go to our new script. Oh hey, I never finished these. That would be why. Player pause is equal to new pause, and scene to load is equal to new scene. Is that a signal on scene entered? It's on scene transition entered, yeah. It's on scene transition body entered, I think. Yeah, on scene transition body entered. Okay, so back here. There we go. So now we're in town. Cool. Now I would need to have a transition from town back to the house as well. So it needs to be reciprocal. So if I go to the town scene here, I need to add a new scene transition. And put this here. Actually, put it right there. Let's make it nice and big. Oh, because I made. Let's see. Let me add this as part of the script so that I can change that. So let's do on ready var. Collision shape equals collision shape 2D $ collision shape 2D. There we go. Aw, come on now. See, this is why I need to actually test this out ahead of time, because things will work fine, but then I'll do things like, the problem right now is this scene transition. I saved it as its own individual scene, but that leaves this collision shape to only go 24 by 8. I could solve this just by making this as big as I need it to be. So like 64 wide. And then it wouldn't really make a difference here because that's extending into an area the player wouldn't go. But in town, that's still not enough. I gotta go more. Let's go 96. And it still doesn't make a difference in 96. Here we go. So let's just save that then. Instead of making all this extra stuff, let's just do that. And then in town, bring our player down a bit so that they're not automatically triggering it. The next scene this is going to go to is area around house. So we'll copy path and we'll paste there. And then where we would want the player to go from there isn't here. We would want the player to go here. And that would be transform, we'll say -26, 114. Let's put the player back where they go. So -26, 114. Joshua NS, you can do editable children. You are totally right. I didn't think about that. All right, well, I already put this hacky solution in, but you're right, Joshua NS. I didn't think about that. Okay, so let's just say all of our scenes really quickly. Let's go to the area around the house. Let's hit play. Let's go down, and then let's go back up. Woohoo! That was interesting. Is that not the right? Did I not get the right position? Oh, why is that negative 24? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's because it's... Duh. All right, let's just add a quick position 2D node here so that I can look. Sometimes, Mr. Taft. Sometimes. All right, so position 2D is at 26,287. So this needs to go to 26,287. No, let's save all scenes. I see there's some stuff in chat. I'll check it in just a second. Here. But when you actually start the scene, your player starts where I want them to. So let's say I want the player to start here, because maybe there'll be like a house there. So here's where they start when we start the game. Meow. Meow. There we go. And then we got this working. So that's pretty cool. And then we got our little NPC. Cool. All right. I need to go run to Sam's Club. So, yeah, I think I got kind of a lot done here today. Do you guys have any last minute questions or anything for me before I head off? There is going to be a Godot match 3 video today. There 100% will be. I meant for there to be one yesterday, but then I missed, so there will be one today, I promise. Oh yeah, Igbo asked a question in there. Igbo says, you made an RPG with Unity and now Godot. Any point of comparison, easier, simpler, faster? Well, it's always going to seem like it's easier to do the Godot version because that's the one I did second. Because I learned so much about making this kind of game from making the Unity version of it. I have all those mistakes that I can build myself on top of. But, I mean, this is always my answer, and it's always unsatisfying. The best one to use is whichever one you understand. So if you understand Godot and you can get a good product out of it, then that's the best one to use. If you understand Unity and you can get a good product out of it, then Unity's the best. I do have homeowner's insurance for the roof, yes. The roof of the house and the roof of the garage and siding on the house and the garage all need to be redone. Joshua NS asks, are you going to be doing any more Godot streams before school? Yes, I plan on doing another stream next Thursday. And then after that, it's back to school. So I'll try and do them on like the weekends, like maybe Saturday or Sunday. But Igbo Gaming, I mean, you just gotta play around. Whichever one you like using is the right one to use. They both have weird quirks. Godot has weird quirks, Unity has weird quirks. You just gotta get used to it. In general, I totally understand where you're coming from, thinking Godot is better for 2D. Especially with 3.1, they put a lot of effort into making sure that their 2D renderer is rock solid, and their 2D tools are great. The 3D tools aren't as good for Godot yet. The grid map especially is still a little difficult to use in 3D, but I don't know, there are things, post-processing in Godot is way easier than post-processing in Unity, but there's always going to be weird little quirks between the two. Unity's biggest advantage is the ridiculous amount of material there is out there for tutorials and books and videos and everything. That's Unity's best thing. And they have a dedicated 2D renderer now. You just have to become it. Joshua Ennis says, I'm ready for you to become a full-time streamer. Heck with those kids. Yeah, streaming doesn't pay the bills, though. Shark Dude says, hey, Taft, how's it going? Hello, Shark Dude. Alright, so before I go, here's what I'm going to do. Let's save all scenes. And let's take what I already have here, and let's put it in. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this in a GitHub so that you guys can use it from GitHub. So let's go here, GitHub, Godot Bound, and let's paste this here. It's going to be called Godot Bound copy, but I'll change it. Anthro says, at those transfer areas, I'm inclined to say just make him one tile big and copy and paste him as needed. Hey, that's a good idea too. I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. It should copy. Yeah, no, it will. It totally will. Shark Teeth says, good job on the stream so far. Joshua Ennis, the president has, unfortunately, the president has, well, maybe fortunately, the president has no say on what high school teachers get paid. It's all local government. Shark Dude, are you saying for Godot? Am I going to remake it for Godot? Okay, so let's commit this to master. So we're going to say update to 8-15 stream. And then I'll drop the link for this in the chat. College for the win. I don't know. I like teaching teenagers. They're not all 100% set in their ways, and they're also not teeny tiny children. So I don't know. I like teaching teenagers. He's making false promises. I don't think he's promised anything about raising teacher wages, but he has promised about loan forgiveness, which for me would be a big deal. That would be huge. He and Elizabeth Warren are both going for loan forgiveness, which would be gigantic. But I don't think, even if either one of them got elected, I don't think that would happen. But that's politics. Neither here nor there. All right, cool. So there's my Git repository. And let's go to GitHub really quickly here. Wait, do I have it? Oh no, I'll have to drop it in afterwards. Okay, so any last questions before I pack up? Oh, okay. I'd have to read his platform. I haven't looked at Senator Sanders' platform yet this year. But I mean, like, President Trump had on his platform a lot of stuff he wasn't going to do. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Question for another time. When my player kinematic project TV collides with a tile, I need only to acknowledge the first collision until it collides with a different object. Can I achieve this? So, when my player collides with a tile, I need to only acknowledge. Igbo, I think so. You just, because in the tile map settings, you can add a collision shape to it, and that collision shape can be part of an area 2D. Joshua Ennis, this is my 12th year teaching. So I've been doing it for a little while. Oh, it's fine. You don't have to apologize. Exactly. Well, and like I said, I'm gonna finish up here. I'll drop the link to my GitHub in the video description. But it's www.mrtaftcreates, or no, www.github.com/mrtaftcreates, and then it's already published, so you guys can check out the version of the project so far. So, yeah, I don't know how to end streams well, so I'm just gonna say, have a wonderful day, everybody.